Multiple victims, multiple scenes of violence. A busy night for Toronto police officers who were flooded with calls for a number of shootings and a stabbing in different parts of the city throughout the night and into the morning.
Well, it was a very busy night for our officers out there on the road. We had quite a few incidents, violent incidents, which happened overnight, so kept them busy for a few hours.
Good evening. The first report came at around 10 last night, where police were called for a shooting here in Greektown, and what a scene it was for residents still left on edge following last year's gunfire here on the Danforth. Tonight, we're learning more about this investigation and the violence throughout the city. A lively Friday night on the Danforth quickly transforms into a bloody crime scene where witnesses say they heard a loud bang and a collision with one driver pleading for help.
One of the drivers of the car got out of the car covered in blood, and he was saying that he'd been shot. He had been shot in the face, and he needs help. He needs help. He needs help.
That man, described to be in his late 20s, was the sole driver of the black vehicle and the victim of a shooting, according to Toronto police. He was transported to hospital in serious but non-life-threatening condition.
So there was a patron that was coming out of the restaurant across the street, and she saw everything. Wrong place, wrong time. So she was hysterical automatically, ran in here, claiming that somebody out front just got shot, somebody out front just got shot.
Police were called to Danforth and Chester Avenues around 10 p.m. for a three-car collision. However, police later learned this was an incident that started at Bloor and Castle Frank Road.
There was a shooting involving two separate vehicles. The occupants of one vehicle basically firing shots into a second vehicle. Both vehicles continued eastbound on Bloor Street, which turns into Danforth Avenue.
That's when police say the two collided with a car not involved in the shooting. Two occupants in that vehicle were transported to hospital, and three men in the white suspect vehicle were seen fleeing the scene on foot. These were just two scenes of violence overnight. From 10 p.m. until 8 this morning, Toronto police were called to a total of 6 scenes, including 4 shootings and a stabbing. First, a large fight at Eglinton Avenue West and Winnett, where police say one man was stabbed in the back and taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Around 1:30 a.m., police were called to Birchmount Road and Lawrence Avenue for a shooting and found a vehicle with bullet holes nearby. No victims were reported there, but around that time, a man in his 20s went to hospital with gunshot wounds.
We have not yet been able to determine exactly where the scene of that shooting was.
Shortly after 2 a.m., police were called to a local bar near Victoria Park on Surrey Avenue for reports of gunshots and later found shell casings behind the establishment. And at around 8 a.m. this morning, police attended Gould and Bond Street for a vehicle with bullet holes. No victims, but police say they're investigating this as a shooting. Violence in Toronto continues to be a citywide concern, with advocates calling on politicians to curb gun violence in the city. Last year alone, there were 428 shootings and over 600 victims. That includes last summer's incident on the Danforth, where a gunman opened fire, killing 2 young girls. Though this latest incident has left residents on edge, the manager at Lewis Cypher Brew Works says these acts of violence won't divide residents in Greektown.
I want people to understand that the Danforth is safe, right? This is a family-knit neighborhood, and incidences like that don't occur. And so I want everyone to understand, please come out still, and on a Friday or a Saturday night, don't be afraid.